Hello and welcome to episode 2 of The Australian Runner, a show about running and everything running related. I'm Ben, and with me as always is Chris.
How's it going?
Okay, let's get started. In today's episode, we'll be talking about how much to run to make sure you don't get too overworked and all those sort of routines.
Yep.
So first of all, how much should you run per week?
Well, it really depends. It depends on the goals you've set and the reasons you're running. So, is it a health-related reason just to improve your health? Or is it a fitness reason and how fast you want to run something? And then, along with how fast you want to run, are you going for a really fast time? Or are you just looking to run your first 5k fun run?
Alright, so you mentioned health reasons. What sort of health reasons might there be?
Well, I just looked up the National Physical Activity Guidelines, and one of their points is you must put together at least 30 minutes of moderate to vigorous physical activity on most, preferably all days. And it also states for extra health and fitness, you should enjoy some regular vigorous activity. And I think running is one of those things that can help you cover both those facets, because if you run harder, you'll get that vigorous activity. But even just a slow jog or a slow run will be able to cover your moderate physical activity needs.
Yeah, and just 30 minutes a day of like slow jog, walk sort of thing, that will really help to just keep you healthy all around.
Yeah, so doing physical activity, such as running, can lead to a range of health benefits, such as reduced likelihood of heart attacks and respiratory issues.
Yeah, and obviously it also releases the endorphins in the brain that makes you feel happier and lead to a healthier lifestyle as well. So what sort of routine should beginners just starting running, what should they sort of be aiming for weekly?
Well, there's a lot of couch to 5k or the like programs out. Most of them suggest for beginners to run every second day, and that on those running days, it's a mixture of both running and walking, breaking it up, and not just going out and killing yourself first thing. So I think it's really important to ease yourself and start every second day.
Yeah, there's nothing more disheartening than trying to do something over the top that you're not prepared for, because that might just put you off running altogether,
Yeah.
especially if you're just beginning. Now in the show notes, we've also got intermediate and elite athletes. So talk to us about intermediate.
Well, that's where it comes into how fast you want to run and what's your distance that you're aiming for. So, for example, if you're aiming to run 25 minutes for a 5k fun run, you should probably be doing at least 30 to 40 kilometers per week. Whereas if you're an elite Olympian almost, who wanting to do 5 kilometers in 13 minutes, you'd be doing over 100 kilometers per week on a regular basis. And so for most people, you should fit somewhere in that range. Again, if you're doing a long distance, say such as a marathon, you'd be most likely doing over 100 kilometers a week. And the elites should do probably over 200 kilometers a week. So the amount you run depends on how far you're planning to race or run as your end goal and how fast you want to do it.
So someone like yourself who likes doing 400, 800 and the occasional 1500, how many kilometres do you run a week, or people you know run a week?
400, 800 runners, most run about 40 to 60 kilometers per week. I think 800 meter runners about 60 to 80 kilometers per week, and then 1500 meter runners at the more elite end of the scale would be running 80 to 100 kilometers per week. But it does depend.
Yeah, depends on every person, different. So you've also got written down here progressive overload, and that's a term I haven't heard before. So could you talk to us about that?
Progressive overload's basically where you start off running a certain amount every week, and then slowly and over time, you start to run more and more as your fitness improves. This is because you need to increase the stimulus, in this case running, to see further fitness gains, because as the fitter you get, there are diminishing returns, whereby you have to do a lot more work just to receive an extra little bit in fitness gains. So basically, over time, to get fitter and fitter, you have to run more and more. one of the golden rules to do it is that you shouldn't increase by more than 10% per week. So the key is to slowly and gradually build it up. But I wouldn't be doing a 10% increase every week. It'd be a 10% increase, then hold that new level for a month, and then maybe then increase another 10%. But it doesn't always have to be 10%. It might be 5%, or if you're starting off, it can probably be more than 10%.
Yeah, you just really need to listen to your body. Because especially for beginners, you might find that, especially maybe if you've used to run a lot, you'll be able to get back into it a lot faster. So the first week you might run 10 kilometers, and the next week you might be able to run 15 kilometers, or 2 weeks later you might be able to run 15 kilometers, just as you're getting used to it. But definitely for the more kilometers you run, the less you'll be able to push yourself further. If a person's running 100 kilometers a week, it'd be a bit more of an ask to tell them to run next week you're going to run 110, 115 kilometers. And for Olympians doing marathons, running 200 kilometers a week, they've basically got their program set. And so they'll be doing different things in their program to tweak it a bit to make them run faster rather than just running more and more kilometers.
Yeah. Basically, after every run, your body is slightly broken down. There's tears in the muscles, and your muscle being stressed to a certain point. So what your body does is it adapts to that stimulus of running and builds itself stronger. The fitter you get, the more stimulus, the more running you need, because it's already strong enough for the specific amount you're doing at the moment. To increase it even further, you need to run more to build it stronger again. And that's essentially how fitness builds, and how progressive overload helps to keep increasing your fitness level.
Ah, yeah. That makes sense. And now we've spoken about how much you should run for different people, different levels and different events. How much should you rest then?
Well, everybody does need to rest. Whether you're a beginner or an elite, everybody needs rest to be able to allow your body to adapt and basically improve to that training load. So, beginners, we said, should start off with running every second day, and that day off allows their bodies to be able to heal and adapt to that training day. But then we've got to consider the elites. And the elites, most of them would run nearly every day or every day. But what they do is they have a mixture of harder and easier days. So the easier days, their body is able to adapt, even though they're still running, because their bodies just come so used to running. They can adapt while continuing to run.
They're so used to running 20 Ks a day that when they run 5 Ks a day, it feels like a rest.
Yeah, essentially, that is. But for most intermediates or fun runners, you should have at least one day off a week to be able to see those gains in fitness and receive some sort of benefits. If you have more than one rest day, it's probably advisable to keep those days separate. Say maybe, I don't know, Monday or Friday or Wednesday and Sunday, and not have them together, so you don't fall too much back on fitness, and so that your body remembers how to run type thing.
Yeah. And a routine with that's really important. So that's why maybe if you run Monday to Friday, taking the weekends off will make it even harder to get stuck back into it on the Monday morning when you're going back to work.
Yeah.
So yeah, splitting up the rest days, but definitely keeping routines is very important to help you getting back into it. You should also be changing up the amount of kilometers you do every couple of weeks. So even with a couple of rest days, maybe 1 or 2 rest days a week, every 4 to 8 weeks, you might go from 60 kilometers a week, and then the next week run 50 odd kilometers a week, and that just helps your body as well.
Yeah, you wouldn't have any more rest days. You just run less the days, your training days.
Yeah. And that's cycle that through every couple of weeks. And that also helps to break up your training cycles, and keeps you more engaged and interested in running. If you know in a couple of weeks' time you've got, it's not exactly a mini holiday, but you know you've got an easier week to rest and recuperate, especially if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed with how much you're running.
Definitely. A couple of thoughts I think to end with is that everybody's different. Some people are just able to run huge amounts of mileage, and other people struggle to run 60 kilometers a week. Just about listening to your body and and just adapting your training or how much you're running based on whether you're sore or you're tired or anything like that.
Yeah, personally, I try to aim for about 25 kilometers a week because I do it mainly to just stay in shape, and I just like running. Whereas, how many kilometers did you say you run a week?
40 to 45.
40 to 45. So yeah, everyone's different, and it depends if you're a beginner, intermediate, elite, and also what you're trying to do. So I think that just about wraps up our first segment. So now we are on to the news for the week.
Yes, and big news this week was the Australian All Schools Championship in Canberra over the weekend. Just got a couple of results to share with you all. Starting off with the boys and girls 5 kilometre walk. Declan Tingy from Western Australia won the boys in 20 minutes 11.8, which was a meet record. And Katie Hayward from Queensland also won in a meet record of 21:40. Going over to the pole vault now, and one of the names synonymous with pole vaulting in Australia, the Parnovs, have done it again. The Parnov sisters were 1-2 in the women's pole vault, clearing 3 meters 5 and 2 meters 95 respectively. Over in the men's long jump, Zachary Nunnis from Victoria won with a jump of 7 meters 28 and also achieved a Youth Commonwealth Games qualifying mark. Sophie White and Sasha Zahaya, both from WA, got meet records in the boys and girls under 16 90-metre hurdles and 100-metre hurdles. So great results for them. Letitia Willis from Victoria in the girls under 18 100-metre hurdles ran 13:43 and achieved the Youth Commonwealth Games qualifying mark. So great result for her. Eddie Osei Nekatea from ACT in the boys under 1600 metres ran 10:63, a meet record, so that's great running from him. Riley Day from Queensland in the girls under 18 100-metre final ran 11:36 in a meet record, plus later on she also won the girls 200 metres with 23:52, also a meet record, which is great running from her. I think she's the next big thing on the scene for girls sprinting, or women's sprinting. Luke Young from New South Wales in the boys under 16 1500 metres ran a meet record 3:55, and I think second and third were both under the old meet record, so some really good running we've seen over the weekend. Emily Whelan in the girls under 18 high jump jumped 1 metre 77, which is a Youth Commonwealth Games qualifying mark. Back to the sprints, Cara Jardine from Queensland, the girls under 18 400 metres ran 54:39 to also achieve Youth Commonwealth Games qualifying mark. And then the 800 metres, Carly Thomas from New South Wales ran a meet record 2:05.4, which was something like a 3-second PB, and dedicated it to her coach John Atherton, who we spoke about last week, sadly passed away. The men's or boys under 18 800 metres, Christian Davis from Victoria won in 1:49.04, which is flying. And then at the end of the weekend, the New South Wales team was declared the All Schools champions for the weekend, amassing a huge amount of points. And WA was declared the Small State Trophy. So the Small State Trophy just doesn't include Victoria, New South Wales and Queensland. It's all the other states vying for that one. Other news is that the Runners Tribe gave out their top male and female athlete of the year awards to Jen LaCars and Dane Bird-Smith for their performances over the course of the year. Both ran exceptionally well, or walked exceptionally well in Rio, so well deserved their accolades. In the same vein, the IAAF World Athlete of the Year were awarded to Usain Bolt and Almaz Ayana respectively. Usain Bolt for the 100 and 200 metres, and Almaz Ayana, known for the 10,000 metre world record achieved at the Rio Olympics. Today, they have announced a squad of 42 athletes for the Australian team for the upcoming Nitro Athletics series, and there's some very big names that have been announced. Alan Nelson's probably the biggest name, but also Olympians Michelle Janicki, Annalise Ruby, Lyndon Hall, Jen LaCars, Ryan Gregson have all been named, as well as upcoming guns Jack Hale and Riley Day. So it's a great mixture of athletes that they've selected. And then finally, we're just looking forward to Zatopek on Thursday night. The men's and women's 10,000 metres looks set to be a good night of running. I look forward to that. I think that's your news for the week.
Great, thanks a lot, Chris. And I think that wraps up our episode for this week. You can find us on iTunes, YouTube, and SoundCloud. And we look forward to being here again next week. See you later.
See you then. Later on, she also won the girls 200 metres with 23:42, also a meet record, and 23:52.